Scrum phases. Implement. This slide explains the three key processes in the implement phase of Scrum. Let's understand each one. 10.1 Create deliverables. Inputs: sprint backlog, Scrum board, and impediment log. Tools: team's expertise helps convert tasks into usable deliverables. Outputs: sprint deliverables, working product increments, updated Scrum board, and updated impediment log. 10.2 Conduct a daily stand-up. Inputs: impediment log and sprint burn-down chart. Tools: the team meets daily to answer the three key questions. What did you do yesterday? What will you do today? Any impediments? Outputs: updated sprint, burn-down chart, and updated impediment log. 10.3 Groom prioritized product backlog. Inputs: existing prioritized product backlog. Tools: review meetings to refine and reprioritize. Outputs: updated product backlog with changes as needed based on feedback and progress. The implement phase in Scrum is all about action. It's where the real work happens. This phase includes executing the actual tasks to create the project's product, service, or any desired result. It consists of three major activities. 1. Creating deliverables. This involves building what was planned during earlier phases. 2. Daily stand-up meetings. These help the team stay aligned, track progress, and remove any roadblocks. 3. Grooming the prioritized product backlog. That means continuously reviewing, refining, and updating the backlog based on team feedback and project progress. In short, this phase turns planning into actual output. Let's now talk about the Create deliverables process in the Implement phase. This step is where the Scrum team actually builds the product or service based on the sprint backlog. To begin, they need several inputs such as the Scrum core team, sprint backlog, tools like Scrum board and impediment log, the release planning schedule, information about dependencies, and any guidance or best practices from the Scrum guidance body. The team then uses tools like their own expertise, software tools and other development environments, and any supporting knowledge from the Scrum guidance body. Once this process is executed, it results in key outputs like sprint deliverables, actual product features, updated Scrum board and impediment log, as well as identification of risks, mitigated risks, unapproved change requests, and updated dependencies. This process transforms planning into tangible work products and helps surface issues early in the sprint. Let's now understand the Create deliverables process within the Implement phase. This is the core stage of development, where the actual work happens. In this process, the Scrum team is directly responsible for creating the sprint deliverables, which are the product features or increments defined in the sprint backlog. The stakeholders, Scrum Master and Product Owner, play an important but indirect role here. They help clarify what needs to be developed, but they don't tell the team how to do the work. That's left to the Scrum team's expertise. During the development, if the team faces any blockers or issues, they document those in the impediment log, so they can be tracked and resolved. This process ensures that the focus remains on value-driven, team-owned delivery. Now let's talk about changes to a sprint during the implementation phase. As a general rule in Scrum, once a sprint starts, its scope should not change. This is done to maintain focus and ensure consistent progress. However, there is one exception to this rule. If the Scrum team realizes that they have overestimated the effort and they are left with extra time and capacity during the sprint, they can approach the product owner. The product owner can then identify additional user stories that could be added to the current sprint. This exception helps improve productivity without disrupting the original sprint goals. The key benefit of this approach is that the team can avoid handling mid-sprint changes, maintaining agility while staying focused. Now let's look at the critical inputs required in the Create Deliverables process of the Implement phase. These inputs are essential to begin and carry out the work of delivering the sprint goals. 1. Scrum Core Team. This is the team responsible for executing the work. They have already been formed during the initiate phase and include the Scrum Master, Product Owner, and Development Team. Second, Sprint Backlog. This is the list of tasks and user stories that the team has committed to for the current sprint. It acts as a to-do list and provides clear direction. 3. Scrum Board. It's a visual tool that tracks the progress of tasks. It helps the team and stakeholders see what's being worked on, what's done, and what's pending. Fourth, Impediment Log. This is where the team records anything that blocks their progress. Regular updates to this log help in removing obstacles early. These inputs have already been explained in earlier sessions, and now they come into action here to support deliverable creation. In this case study, we focus on how the Scrum Board supports transparency and helps resolve issues during sprint backlog development. Scrum promotes transparency through visual tools like the Scrum Board, which provides a clear and real-time view of the team's work and progress. The Scrum Board is divided into 4 columns. 1. To Do. This column lists all tasks that have not yet been started. At the beginning of a sprint, all tasks go here. 2. In Progress. As the team begins work on tasks, they are moved into this column. 3. Testing. Once the task is complete but undergoing testing or validation, it is moved here. 4. Done. Tasks that are completed and have successfully passed testing are placed here. As work progresses, tasks flow from left to right. This gives everyone, the Scrum team, product owner, and stakeholders, full visibility of what's being done, what's pending, and what's finished. Common issues in sprint backlog development, like unclear task status, duplication of effort, or blocked items, can be quickly spotted and resolved through regular updates on the Scrum Board. This slide shows a Scrum Board, a visual tool used by agile teams to track the progress of work items during a sprint. The table displays 4 user stories on the left, stories 1 to 4, and the progress of tasks associated with them under columns: To Do, In Progress, Testing, and Done. From the board, we can observe the following issues. Tasks are unevenly distributed across the stories. Some stories, like Story 4, have many tasks still in To Do, while others, like Story 1, have most tasks already in Done. There may be a bottleneck in the testing stage, as seen for Story 2 and 3. Lack of clarity or balance in task planning may indicate poor sprint backlog development. This case study highlights the importance of well-groomed backlogs and daily monitoring during stand-ups to ensure even workload distribution and smooth progress across stories. One of the critical tools in the Create Deliverables process is the impediment log. In Scrum, impediments are anything that blocks or slows down the team's work. These obstacles affect the productivity and efficiency of the Scrum team. If not resolved quickly, they can lead to delays and quality issues. Examples of impediments include internal issues like unclear roles, poor communication, or inefficient workflows. External issues like delays in software licenses, lack of hardware, legal hurdles, or compliance requirements. The Scrum Master is responsible for tracking these impediments. They are formally recorded in the impediment log, which is a document or tool where all identified issues are noted down, tracked, and monitored until resolved. By maintaining an impediment log, the Scrum team ensures nothing gets overlooked. Accountability is maintained. timely resolution is possible, improving team performance. Now let's talk about one of the critical outputs of the Create Deliverables process, the updated Scrum Board. The Scrum Board is a visual tool that helps the Scrum team track their progress during the sprint. It usually contains columns like To Do, In Progress, Testing, and Done. As the team works through the sprint, they move tasks across these columns, updating the board regularly. This ongoing update helps everyone see what's being worked on, what's done, and what's still pending. At the end of the sprint, the Scrum Board reflects the final status of all tasks. Then, it is wiped clean or reset to prepare for the next sprint. A new Scrum Board is created with fresh tasks from the new sprint backlog. This cycle of updating and resetting ensures transparency and keeps the team aligned sprint after sprint. This slide shows a Scrum Board at the end of a sprint. Notice that all columns, To Do, Work in Progress, and Done are completely empty. Additionally, the burn-down chart is flat, indicating that no progress was made toward completing the sprint goal. This is an example of a bad sprint outcome. It suggests that no tasks were moved or completed. Possibly, work was not started or not tracked properly. Team collaboration, planning, or execution may have failed during the sprint. This Scrum Board raises serious concerns and prompts a reflection. What went wrong? Was the planning realistic? Was the team blocked? Ask participants to reflect on whether they've experienced such a situation in real life and how it was handled. This is another look at the Scrum Board at the end of the same sprint, and just like the previous one, it's still completely empty. The columns To Do, Work in Progress, and Done all show no movement or progress, and the burn-down chart is unchanged. That means no tasks were planned, tracked, or completed during the entire sprint. So, is this version better, worse, or the same? It's essentially the same. Still a bad sprint outcome. It reflects either the team didn't work on the sprint or the board was not used to track progress at all. This lack of visual activity on the board is a red flag in Agile, where transparency and visibility are key. You can now ask participants, how would you address such a situation as a Scrum Master or Product Owner? This slide explains the daily stand-up process in Scrum by breaking it into 3 key elements: inputs, tools, and outputs. Inputs. These are the people and resources needed to conduct an effective daily stand-up. Scrum Team and Scrum Master. The key participants. Sprint Burn-Down Chart shows remaining work. Impediment Log tracks any blockers. Product Owner may attend to clarify priorities. Previous workday experience to reflect on progress or issues. Scrum Board, visual tool to check task status. Dependencies, identify tasks blocked due to others. Tools, these are methods or practices used during the stand-up. Daily stand-up meeting, quick 15-minute sync. 3 daily questions. What did you do yesterday? What will you do today? Are there any blockers? War Room, a physical or digital collaborative space. Video conferencing, especially for distributed teams. Outputs. After the daily stand-up, we expect these results: updated burn-down chart and impediment log. A motivated Scrum team with shared clarity. Updated Scrum Board with current task status. Awareness of unapproved change requests. Risks identified, mitigated, and updated dependencies. This process ensures team alignment, early detection of issues, and continuous progress during the sprint. In the Scrum framework, the daily stand-up is one of the most critical practices that enables effective team collaboration and communication. It is a time-boxed event, typically lasting 15 minutes or less, and is conducted every working day during the sprint. The main goal of the daily stand-up is to Allow team members to synchronize their activities. Share progress updates. Identify and communicate any blockers or impediments that might impact progress. Every team member answers 3 questions. 1. What did I do yesterday that helped the development team meet the sprint goal? 2. What will I do today to help the development team meet the sprint goal? 3. Do I see any impediment that prevents me or the team from meeting the sprint goal? This meeting is not a status update to the Scrum Master or product owner. Instead, it is a team-centric communication event, encouraging transparency, collaboration, and problem-solving. The Scrum Master may facilitate the daily stand-up, especially in the beginning, but the responsibility lies with the development team. If any issue is raised that requires further discussion, it should be handled after the stand-up in a separate meeting. By making this a daily habit, teams become more agile, quickly adaptive, and stay focused on the sprint goal. In this slide, we're summarizing the key inputs for conducting daily stand-up meetings. You'll notice that we've already discussed each of these topics in earlier sections of the training. Scrum Team. They are the core participants of the daily stand-up. Their daily updates drive team alignment and visibility. Scrum Master plays a key role in facilitating the stand-up, especially in early stages or with new teams. Sprint Burn-Down Chart. This visual tool tracks the remaining work and helps the team monitor progress against the sprint goal. Impediment Log, used to record and follow up on blockers that are raised during the stand-up. Since all of these have been explained in detail already, this slide serves as a quick recap to reinforce their importance in the context of daily stand-ups. Let's now talk about one of the most critical tools in Scrum, the daily stand-up meeting. This is a short, focused meeting held every day and is strictly time-boxed to 15 minutes. The idea behind this meeting is to keep the team aligned, identify any obstacles, and help everyone plan their day effectively. In the meeting, each team member shares updates by answering 3 key questions. 1. What did I do yesterday? 2. What will I do today? 3. Are there any impediments in my way? These questions help surface progress and problems in real time. It's important to remember that any deep discussions or problem-solving should not happen during the meeting itself. These are encouraged, but they must take place after the stand-up ends. This ensures the meeting remains short and efficient. Let's now focus on the 3 daily questions that are the backbone of the daily stand-up meeting. During the stand-up, each Scrum team member answers these 3 questions. 1. What have I done since the last meeting? This helps track progress and make sure tasks are moving forward. 2. What do I plan to do before the next meeting? This gives clarity to the team about everyone's next steps and creates alignment. 3. What impediments or obstacles am I currently facing? This is crucial. It helps the Scrum Master and the team identify problems early so they can be resolved quickly. It's highly recommended that team members answer the first 2 questions in a quantifiable way, wherever possible, like saying I completed 2 out of 3 test cases, instead of just saying I did some testing. And remember, any detailed discussions or blockers that need more time can be addressed after the meeting in smaller focused conversations. Now let's look at one of the key outputs of the daily stand-up, the updated Sprint Burn-Down Chart. The Sprint Burn-Down Chart is a visual representation of how much work remains in the current sprint. It helps the team track whether they are on pace to complete their committed tasks within the sprint timeline. There are usually 2 lines on the chart. 1. A planned burn-down line, which shows how the work should be completed ideally. 2. An actual burn-down line, which shows the real-time progress made by the team. This chart is updated daily after the daily stand-up, so it reflects the most current status. If the actual line falls above the planned line, it indicates a delay, and if it's below, it shows the team is ahead of schedule. The burn-down chart helps the Scrum team, Scrum Master, and stakeholders quickly spot issues and take corrective action early, if needed. This slide emphasizes one of the most critical outputs of daily stand-ups, the updated sprint burn-down chart. What you see here is a planned burn-down chart. The y-axis shows the story points, representing the total work planned for the sprint. The x-axis shows the sprint days, from day 1 to day 5. The red line indicates the ideal burn-down, meaning how the work should reduce if everything goes according to plan. We started with 112 story points on day 1. Every day, the expected work reduces steadily. Day 2, 84 points remaining. Day 3, 56 points. Day 4, 28 points. Day 5, 0 points, indicating sprint completion. This kind of tracking helps monitor team progress, daily spot delays, or bottlenecks early. Drive accountability during stand-ups. So during every stand-up, you update this chart based on actual progress and discuss any deviations. This slide shows a sprint burn-down chart, which is a critical output of conducting daily stand-ups in Agile or Scrum projects. The x-axis represents the days or sprints, and the y-axis represents the story points, which quantify the total work planned for the sprint. The red line on the chart shows the planned progress. We started with 112 story points at the beginning of the sprint and expected to reduce the work gradually over 5 days to reach 0. The green line represents the actual progress of the team. On day 1, we had 112 story points. By day 2, we brought it down to 90. Day 3 shows 84 points remaining. Day 4 shows significant progress at 56 points remaining. By day 5, we are at 28 points, approaching the sprint goal. The purpose of this chart is to give a visual representation of work completion versus plan. This helps the team and stakeholders identify if the sprint is on track, ahead, or lagging. In summary, during daily stand-ups, such charts help teams align, spot blockers, and take corrective actions if needed. This slide presents a sprint burn-down chart, which is an essential output of conducting daily stand-ups in an Agile or Scrum environment. On the x-axis, we have the sprint days, numbered from 1 to 5. On the y-axis, we see the story points, which represent the total effort or work remaining in the sprint. The red line shows the planned progress, starting at 112 story points on day 1, and steadily decreasing towards 0 by day 5. The green line represents the actual progress of the team. Day 1, 0, 112 points, starting point. Day 2, 90 points. Day 3, 84 points. Day 4, 56 points initially, then 50 points, showing some variability in completion. Day 5, 28 points. This chart helps the team compare planned versus actual progress, which is useful to identify if the team is ahead, on track, or behind. Take timely corrective actions. Facilitate transparent communication with stakeholders. In summary, the updated sprint burn-down chart gives clear visibility on how work is progressing during the sprint, helping the team align during daily stand-ups. This slide displays a sprint burn-down chart, which is a key output of daily stand-ups in Agile and Scrum frameworks. On the x-axis, we have the sprint days, ranging from 1 to 5. The y-axis shows story points, indicating the total effort or amount of work planned and remaining. The red line represents the planned progress. We start at 112 story points on day 1. The plan was to steadily reduce the points to reach 0 by day 5. The green line shows the actual progress achieved by the team. Day 1, 112 points, starting point. Day 2, 90 points. Day 3, 84 points. Day 4, 56 and 50 points, showing steady work completion. Day 5, 35 points remaining at 1 point, with progress continuing toward the sprint goal. The chart enables teams to compare actual performance with the planned trajectory, identify delays, accelerations, or risks. Early ensure transparency and alignment in daily stand-ups. This updated sprint burn-down chart highlights the team's progress and helps ensure that everyone is working towards the sprint objectives effectively. This slide shows the updated sprint burn-down chart, which is a key output of daily stand-ups in Agile or Scrum. On the x-axis, we have the sprint days numbered from 1 to 5. The y-axis shows story points, representing the total work or effort planned for the sprint. The red line indicates the planned progress. The team planned to start at 112 story points on day 1 and complete all work by day 5, reaching 0 points. The green line indicates the actual progress made by the team. Day 1, 112 points. Day 2, 90 points. Day 3, 84 points. Day 4, 56 points, then 50 points. Day 5, 35 points, then 28 points, and finally 0 points. The chart helps to track if the team is following the planned trajectory, identify deviations early so corrective actions can be taken, promote transparency and collaboration during daily stand-ups. Overall, this burn-down chart shows that the team was largely aligned with the plan, with some minor deviations that were adjusted as the sprint progressed. One of the most critical outputs of the daily stand-up is the updated impediment log. Although we've already discussed this topic earlier, let me quickly reinforce its importance. During the daily stand-up, team members discuss what they've completed, what they plan to do next, and most importantly, what's blocking their progress. These blockers or impediments are captured in the impediment log. The Scrum Master uses this log to track and remove those barriers so the team can stay focused and productive. Regular updates ensure that issues are not ignored but are actively resolved. This slide focuses on the critical outputs of conducting daily stand-ups in a Scrum environment, specifically highlighting the updated sprint burn-down chart. The visual is divided into 3 key columns: inputs, tools, and outputs, reflecting the Scrum framework's logical flow. Inputs. The inputs are the foundational elements required for effective daily stand-up discussions. 1. Scrum Core Team involves the Scrum Master, Product Owner, and Development Team. 2. Prioritized Product Backlog. The backlog sorted based on business value and urgency. 3. Rejected deliverables. Items that did not meet acceptance criteria in the previous sprint. 4. Approved change requests. Client-approved modifications added to the backlog. 5. Unapproved change requests. Pending approval but considered for discussion. 6. Identified risks. Known risks that may impact progress or delivery. 7. Updated program. Product backlog. Reflects the current state of the overall program backlog. 8. Retrospect sprint log. Learnings and improvement actions from previous sprints. 9. Dependencies. Interlinked tasks or external factors that may impact delivery. 10. Release planning schedule. Timeline and planning commitments. 11th. Scrum guidance. Body recommendations. Best practices or governance inputs. Tools. The tools represent the mechanisms used during grooming sessions and daily meetings. 1. Prioritized product backlog. Review meetings, sessions to ensure alignment and backlog clarity. 2. Communication techniques. Methods like stand-ups, active listening, visual boards, etc. 3. Other prioritized product backlog grooming techniques, e.g., MOS-CoW prioritization, story mapping, or planning poker. Outputs. The main outcomes of this process are 1. Updated prioritized product backlog, refined and reprioritized list post-discussion. 2. Updated release planning schedule, adjustments based on new inputs, risks, or velocity changes. This entire cycle helps maintain sprint transparency, promotes collaboration, and ensures that the team remains aligned with the sprint goal. In the implement phase of the Scrum framework, a critical activity is to groom the prioritized product backlog, and this responsibility lies primarily with the product owner. Grooming refers to continuously refining and updating the backlog to ensure it reflects the most current project requirements and priorities. This involves several actions. Adding new items such as user stories that have been identified based on stakeholder feedback or evolving business needs. Changing existing items to reflect updated requirements or corrections. Providing more detail to existing user stories so that the development team has enough clarity for the upcoming sprint. The goal of grooming is to ensure that the backlog is always in a ready state for sprint planning. Without proper grooming, the team may face delays or confusion during sprint execution. Examples of what may be added or updated in the backlog include new user stories based on evolving customer needs, change requests that have been approved, newly identified risks that impact feature priority or feasibility, updated user stories after refinement, reprioritization based on stakeholder direction or risk analysis. To support this activity, prioritized product backlog review meetings may be held regularly. These sessions allow the Scrum team and relevant stakeholders to collaboratively review the backlog, discuss dependencies, clarify requirements, and make necessary adjustments. This grooming process keeps the Scrum team aligned with product goals and helps ensure that the upcoming sprint starts with clear, achievable, and valuable work items. Now let's briefly touch upon the critical inputs required for grooming the prioritized product backlog. As shown, the key inputs here are the Scrum core team and the prioritized product backlog. Since both of these elements have already been discussed earlier, we'll not go into detail again. However, it's important to understand that these two inputs form the foundation of the backlog grooming process. The Scrum core team, consisting of the product owner, Scrum master, and development team, collaborates to evaluate existing backlog items, reprioritize based on business value, and refine the user stories. The prioritized product backlog itself acts as the base document that gets reviewed, updated, and refined during grooming to reflect any new insights, changes, or risks. So, while these inputs are familiar to us, their importance in this phase cannot be overstated. They ensure that grooming sessions are purposeful and aligned with sprint and product goals. This slide highlights one of the key tools used during the grooming process: the prioritized product backlog review meetings. During the grooming phase, the product owner plays a central role, and to perform that role effectively, they must engage with different parties. These review meetings may be held separately with relevant stakeholders, the Scrum Master, and the Scrum team. The purpose of these meetings is to gather detailed and accurate information that enables the product owner to update the prioritized product backlog effectively. What do we focus on in these meetings? Ensuring that user stories are clearly written, unambiguous, and fully understood by all parties. Confirming that each user story has well-defined acceptance criteria. Aligning the backlog items with actual stakeholder requirements and business priorities. Ultimately, these sessions help the product owner maintain a refined and high-quality backlog that drives value for both the customer and the team in upcoming sprints. A key tool used during the grooming of the prioritized product backlog is the Prioritized Product Backlog Review Meeting. These meetings play a vital role in ensuring that the backlog remains relevant, updated, and aligned with the current project goals. During these sessions, the team collectively reviews the entire backlog and performs several essential actions. First, they identify and remove irrelevant or obsolete user stories, items that no longer provide value or are no longer required. Second, they incorporate any approved change requests, ensuring that new customer requirements or decisions are properly reflected in the backlog. Third, they consider newly identified risks and evaluate whether these risks affect the priority or feasibility of existing user stories. These meetings are typically led by the product owner, but they involve input from the entire Scrum core team to maintain alignment. The end result is a refined, up-to-date backlog that is ready to feed into the next sprint planning session. It helps the team focus on what truly matters and discard what no longer adds value. Let's now look at the critical output of the backlog grooming process: the updated prioritized product backlog. This updated backlog is the direct result of thorough review, discussion, and refinement carried out during the grooming process. It incorporates several types of changes, including new user stories that may have emerged from stakeholder feedback or evolving business requirements, new change requests that have been approved and need to be integrated into future work, newly identified risks which may affect scope or priority, updated or clarified user stories, often rewritten for better understanding or feasibility, reprioritization of existing items based on urgency, value, or technical considerations. But most importantly, grooming must ensure one key outcome. At the start of every sprint, there should be enough well-refined, high-priority items at the top of the backlog. These items should be clear, complete, and small enough that the team can confidently commit to them during sprint planning and deliver them within the sprint. This level of preparedness is essential for maintaining team momentum, reducing delays, and ensuring smooth execution of sprint goals. In this case study, we are discussing a scenario where executive management is attempting to interfere in the team's daily stand-ups. This situation is quite common in organizations transitioning to Scrum, or where leadership is still adapting to agile roles and boundaries. As Scrum Masters or learners of Scrum, it's important to reflect on how we would handle such interference without disrupting team dynamics or violating Scrum principles. Please read the case carefully and type your response in the question window. Also, if you have any follow-up questions or points for discussion regarding this topic, feel free to post them in the same window. The goal is to think critically and apply Scrum values in real-world team scenarios. In this case study, we are examining another common issue observed during daily stand-ups: team members getting into detailed problem-solving discussions. The purpose of a daily stand-up is to be short, focused, and time-boxed, typically 15 minutes. It's meant to help the team quickly share progress, identify roadblocks, and align for the day. It is not meant for in-depth discussions or technical problem-solving. As a Scrum Master, it's important to recognize when the stand-up is going off track and intervene in a constructive way. For this case, please think about what your role would be if the team starts discussing solutions in the middle of the stand-up. How would you guide the team without discouraging collaboration? Kindly type your answer in the question window, and feel free to post any additional thoughts or queries related to this topic there as well. This case study addresses a frequent issue in many Scrum teams: problem-solving during daily stand-ups. While it's natural for team members to start discussing solutions when issues are raised, it's important to remember that the stand-up is not the forum for deep technical discussions. It's a 15-minute, time-boxed meeting meant for quick updates, identifying impediments, and planning the day. As a Scrum Master, this is where your facilitation skills come into play. Think about how you can gently steer the team back to the purpose of the stand-up, without shutting down collaboration or problem-solving entirely. Ask yourself, how can you help the team recognize when they are going into too much detail? What steps can you take to ensure deeper conversations happen in the right forum? For example, immediately after the stand-up. Please type your answer in the question window, and if you have any related doubts or thoughts, do post them there too. This will help you reflect on practical Scrum Master responsibilities. This slide presents a focused case study question. What should you, as a Scrum Master, do if problem-solving is happening during daily stand-ups? This is a very real situation that occurs often in agile teams. While it's great that the team is engaging and trying to solve problems, the daily stand-up is not the platform for extended discussions. Your goal here is to reflect on the Scrum Master's responsibility to protect the time box and maintain the purpose of the stand-up. Quick inspection, transparency, and adaptation. Think practically. How do you balance keeping the meeting on track without discouraging useful collaboration? How do you enable follow-up discussions without derailing the stand-up? Please type your response in the question window and share any follow-up queries you may have related to this situation there as well.